Have you ever asked yourself what the world would look like if man and machine were one, split into 50-50 of intestines and metal? Well, you don't have to anymore, because I got the answer for you right here. Today, we will be journeying through rivers of blood, grotesque biomechanical beings, and some incredibly satisfying combat. And today's biomechanical horror on the grill is no other than the early access game called INCISION. If your urge for blood is not satisfied after this, I don't know what to say. Now, let's do this. Wait, what was that text that just swooshed by on the screen? Story something? Oh yeah, the game actually does have a story, but I got no clue what the story actually is. There is no text, no voice, no nothing to introduce you to the game, which is a little miss in my opinion. I would have wanted something, like you start off in what I think is the main character's apartment, but who knows, I don't, and neither do you.
I understand nothing.
But luckily, there are some sort of story bits here and there, and it's presented with these green, small, glowing particle things, and if you focus on them, a magical text appears with a few lines of story. Connecting them can be really hard though, because it is very easy to miss them. But the few that I found, they actually did manage to amp up my curiosity and immerse me a little more into the game and its crazy bloody world. However, as I said, I got no clue as to what the story exactly is. My brain was not able to connect the sentences, and I'm sure I missed more than half of all of the green dots.
Stupid buzzwords! They mean nothing!
But before I leave the story segment, I want to give you a little something from an interview DreadXP had with the developer about the story. And that goes something like this. It's like it's a game about a world that's been consumed by this massive, unknown alien entity simply called the Growth, a flesh that sort of absorbs everything and reconstructs it into this hellscape, and all living beings are also turned into monsters, mechanical things, body horror, things inspired from Cronenberg's movies, and The Thing. And you have to kick their ass. And that's about it. And hell, if you ask me, this is just enough. The game does a great job with environmental storytelling, and it never interrupts the flow of the game. It is just the right amount to pull you in just enough, apart from it not introducing anything about the game when starting it up. So the gameplay, my shooter friends, is amazing. Yeah, it's good in this Bloodfest. It's meaty, it's interesting, it's satisfying, and most of all, it's bloody as hell. The level design is actually also good. I did get lost for a brief moment here and there, but nothing too painful. And while it doesn't really feature any advanced platforming, there are jump pads and verticality to the game. And especially the jump pads are sometimes very strategically placed, so that you get the feeling of freedom when clearing out an arena of enemies. Almost like Superman himself, if you are skilled enough to use them properly, which I am not, so you won't be seeing awesome Superman clips rolling here, unfortunately. But the option is there for you, so I wanted to throw that out. And the movement, oh boy, the movement, it feels good. You're fast as Flash, and you even got a sprint, making you faster than, something faster than Flash.
Damn, that guy's fast.
And that might sound overwhelming, but the game is designed so that most of the time you don't feel cramped in a tight spot. The size of the fighting areas are there. You are free to move fast as fuck, boy.
My parents allowed me to cuss when I was a kid, so I started early.
But there is one thing with the movement that felt off for me, and that is the air control. It's really accurate, meaning if you want to stop mid-air in a split second, you can, even though you jump forward faster than Flash. And I mean, a slower halt than an immediate halt would have felt better. And believe it or not, friends, but there is actually guns in this game as well. So why don't we talk a little bit about them? So you start off with a Magnum, and it's not just any Magnum, it's an exploding cannonball shooting Magnum. Or so I wish to believe anyway, because it has this alternative fire mode that makes you spin the gun, and if you time the shots to the glow of the gun, you will make your enemies explode into bits and pieces, hence the exploding cannonball firing Magnum. And to be honest, it is a great starting weapon that is useful throughout the whole entirety of episode 1 of the game, which is currently the only episode that is out right now. And boy, is it not just good, it is so damn satisfying nailing those shots and just spill all of your enemy's blood everywhere. Honestly, it smells really good so far. Ooh. Oh! Oh! Did you see that trip? Oh! Gore on the roof. But that's not all, friends. All of the guns are actually fun and cool. There are not a whole lot of them in the game, but every single one of them offers an interesting alternative fire mode that brings depth to the game. For example, the shotgun, it fires like a normal shotgun in the normal firing mode. But in the alternative fire mode, you can really spill the blood of your enemies. I mean, did you see that? It's pretty damn neat, and it offers depth, because the normal one offers a more methodical tactical firing, and the alternative, it saves your ass when needed to. And that goes for all the guns. They have their strengths and weaknesses, making you switch up your gameplay all the time, depending on the weapon you're choosing and the situation you're put in. Now, I don't want to spoil all the guns for you. As I said, there aren't that plenty of them, but I need to show you one more at least. So let me introduce Kitty, the cutest pet gun ever. She is so adorable, and she loads up her ammunition by feasting on the blood of your enemies. Sorry about that, but yeah, you do suck up the blood of your enemies with this thing, and it's good. In normal mode, she fires like 5 exploding balls that latches onto your enemies and explode. And in alternate fire mode, she spits out a saw blade made of blood, completely obliterating anything that stands in its way. Now, this is said to be a hard game, and I honestly don't know, after 30 years of playing FPS games, maybe I'm becoming better and better at them, or maybe that's not the case. But I did play on the intended difficulty, with projectile speed and projectile damage up to 100%. Because yeah, you can actually change those in the game, which is a pretty cool feature. However, I never lost all of my lives in my first playthrough. What do you mean all of your lives, Slim?
What do you mean?
Well, the game has these 1-ups. Collecting them gives you an extra life, and if you lose all of your lives, it's game over and you have to restart the level from scratch that you're on. Luckily, that didn't happen until the last boss for me. So I do believe, however, that this is a cool feature that really adds to the tension of the game if played at a higher difficulty level. Now, the gameplay really is a winner in this game, but do remember this: F is for flashlight. And you will need it, because this is one dark game, and sometimes it is a little hard distinguishing the enemies from the environment if not lighted properly. So use the flashlight. Now, for the audio and graphics of this game, it's all pretty neat. The graphics, they do feel quite standard. It looks and feels a bit like Dusk, but in a really bloody and grotesque way. I mean, at one point you're literally jumping down a gigantic bleeding asshole.
What?
And that doesn't even feel strange for being in this game, and that says a lot about the aesthetics of this one. You will bathe in rivers of blood, walk through some very meaty and bloody hallways, fight in intestine-looking arenas, and you do somewhat get used to it after a while, so the effect kind of wears off. But that's when the game changes it up, and all of a sudden you're in a castle or a city. It's just really all well implemented, and it changes up at a great pace. But nonetheless, the graphics, they do feel basic, and they don't really stand out. But the art style, it does stand out, and its grotesque design. So in my eyes, all in all, it is a win. But something that would have really amped up the graphics is if it stayed low poly and pixely just as it is, but added in a few more modern elements like more realistic lighting and reflection. That would have been godlike in this grotesque environment. Now, when it comes to the music, it is spot on. It's not pure heavy metal throughout the game, even though sometimes the metal does come forth. But for the most part, it has this very unsettling horror, almost cyberpunk music to it, which fits incredibly well with the game. It really heightens the whole experience a lot, so whatever you do not turn off the music in this game. The guns and enemies, they sound alright. It has somewhat an empty sound to it. For example, the guns, they don't sound as powerful as they look. I would have liked a little more bass for the shots, because as is now, it sounds a little empty and weak in a way. And that's pretty much the best way I can explain it. But this does not affect the Magnum, because that sounds fantastic. And it is great for spilling blood! Now, in conclusion, this is a great boomer shooter. It's satisfying, it has a very unique and interesting art style and design to it. It got tight movement, cool guns, and it's just overall a great and fun experience to play through. However, only episode 1 is available as of now, and it is very, very not lengthy. So if you want to wait for the full release, I would say wait, because it is coming. Development has not halted on this game. And while waiting for the full thing to release, heck, why don't you check out these amazing shooter games?